Welcome to My Big Safety Challenge, a podcast all about stories of safety leadership, presented by Dale Carnegie and the Board of Certified Safety Professionals.
Hey, Tiffany, another opportunity for a podcast. What I think a lot of times we don't realize is what goes on behind the scenes to make this thing happen. It's a little bit like a friend of mine when he used to get invited over to people's house to eat. You know, he'd always say, "Oh, thank you." But then one day he thought, well, you know, somebody went out and said, we're going to pick out something really good because we got company. And he said, when I did that, I realized, wow, this is good. Think about all the things it takes to make a podcast happen. It's not just us. It's the people in the sound booth here who are taking care of all the knobs and doing that. It's the folks are editing. Somebody had to plan it and even think about it. So there's a lot of folks, not just you and me, but the guests that take their time, and it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. So that leads us into Steve Myers. Steve Myers is here to join us from Amy's Kitchen. He heads up global safety and workers' compensation. Steve is also an attorney. So it'll be nice to kind of dive into what Steve does. Welcome to the podcast, Steve. If you can give us some background on what you do for Amy's Kitchen on a day-to-day basis. Tell us about Amy's Kitchen, what you guys do there, and what you specifically do for Amy's Kitchen, Steve.
Sure. And thank you for having me today. Really excited to share our story and see where this leads us. But so first about the company. Amy's Kitchen is a food manufacturer. Specialty food. We do frozen foods like pizzas and burritos and single-serve meals, some family-serve meals. We also do soups and chilies and salsas and sauces, and it's all vegetarian, and it is all organic. We do organic vegetarian food, and we hope to be able to provide families with good quality food. And I know that, Tiffany, you've said you're a fan.
I'm a big fan.
It's just a wonderful place to work. It's the culture here at Amy's and how everyone just genuinely cares about each other. And you can see how that permeates even into like our safety culture and stuff. So my role with Amy's, I'm director of risk and safety. So I oversee our risk management program, our workers' compensation, and our safety program. And in addition to that, I also oversee our ADA compliance program. Okay. So that's the spectrum of my role here at Amy's. And it's been a wonderful almost 5 years now.
So now that we know a little bit about Amy's Kitchen, Merle.
We are curious. How did a guy like you get into safety? You know, everybody's kind of got like that conversion moment where they got in. But what was it for you?
My career started as an attorney in private practice, and I was really involved with the workers' compensation defense, and that was really my specialty. And thereafter, I went in-house with a company, started, again, just working with their work comp defense, and that role kind of morphed into more, let's say. And with that, I had a lot of interplay because of the work comp side. I am managing these claims, but I had a lot of interplay with the safety department at that company. So that's kind of where it first started. So when I came to Amy's, about 4 months in, I was asked to lead the safety program. And so I did have a lot of years of experience working with the safety department. So I had, the knowledge, I guess, but what's really nice about this is, if you think about the life of an injury, safety is the prevention and the front end of it, and workers' comp is the management of it. So if we can try to make our place as safe as possible for our employees, while at the same time, if somebody gets hurt, show how much you care and that dedicated personal service that you can provide to your employees when they got hurt, right? So that is what really brought me together to be able to run the safety program, and it's been wonderful.
Steve, one thing we haven't touched much on these podcasts is about workers' compensation, and as a company, how to manage it properly. Could you give us some insights of what you've learned and what you put into practice there?
when we're managing a workers' compensation claim, the standard way is that an employee, if they were to get hurt, they get sent over to your third-party administrator who administers the claim. Many times that employee can't get a hold of the person. They have to leave a message and then, get a call back. And it's just not a great experience for the employees. So one of the first things we did is I have two integrated disability managers, right? They handle the ADA stuff, but they're also the personal contact for our employees.
Nice.
And so we've got the TPA who handles the back end, who handles the compliance. But then we've got these two individuals who actually are the contact point with the employees. So one of our core values is that we take care of each other. And I think this is just another way that we take care of our employees and give them that personal touch that, they got injured at work, right? They're not a number. They are a person who got injured at work. And so it's just another way we can take care of them.
And do those people keep in contact and continue to guide the person along the way? If they're out for a few days, few weeks, what kind of involvement do they have with them, not just at the beginning, but along the way?
The entire way. Any questions, the employees can reach out directly to them. That is, rather than having a claims adjuster, that's their main point of contact, the main point of contact is this person.
Now, Steve, you would know this better than I would. I have heard of situations where people, they were kind of like the outcast when they were hurt and they were on workers' comp and all these things, and how sometimes then if they're the outcast, they don't hear anything from the company, it's like they start to watch the ads on TV. Oh, you've been hurt at work, or those kind of things. Or neighbors say, oh, I know somebody that got a big settlement. And do you find that approach of caring and having a contact, what kind of effect do you see that it has on those employees?
They don't feel the need to go out and get somebody to represent their interests because they have their advocate right there. And it's another Amy's employee. We have a very low litigation rate in our claims. I'm pretty proud of that, right? Because that is a program that we have in place to take care of our employees. A lot of studies will tell you that many times the reason employees go out and get an attorney is exactly what you were saying, Merle, is they don't hear, they're an outcast, and they don't know what to do. So, yeah, it's been a very big success for us.
I'll tell you what, podcast listeners, that's big stuff right there.
Steve, one of the things that I've kind of honed in on is your culture, your organizational culture. So as far as challenges along the way, you had mentioned in our prep conversation that one of your biggest challenges had been to change and impact the actual safety culture, even though you had this very predominant organizational culture. Tell Merle and I, as well as the listeners, what you've learned and how have you learned to kind of manage that change in safety culture to make it more of a predominant culture amongst your executive and senior leadership team, and what exactly you did to then say, yes, we've got this great organizational culture, but not only is it an organizational culture, but we need to make sure that we elevate the safety culture as well. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So we have this culture of taking care of each other. Mm-hmm. That culture, though, breeds a certain mentality of, I want to please, I want to do what I can, I want to get it accomplished, which is not necessarily always the safest way to do it, right? So it's this balancing act of cultures. And really what it was, we need to change that. We need to get away from, employees wanting to please the plant manager and doing something at all costs to doing it safely. And, it was really about implementing, just a wide variety of programs. But then with the senior leadership team, we can say, hey, we want no LTAs, or we want, you can set your goals of recordable rates or whatever you may have. And it was about educating them that what we really need to do is let those numbers take care of themselves. And we need to implement these policies that will change this culture so our employees feel safe at work and safe to work safely. And so that was a challenge because, and this is in many organizations. It was not a challenge to get the buy-in here at Amy's. I have a very, I think, progressive senior leadership team, but at prior companies, you see companies benchmark their recordable rate against other companies, and all it is it's all about the recordable rate. So
Absolutely.
educating them and getting the buy-in for the plan on how we're going to do it, and knowing how to measure it and keeping it up to date.
So how did you work with the workforce, not just now in management, workforce, to steer that a bit differently, that we need you to speak up? We need you to be able to tell what you're really seeing, feeling, experiencing. How'd you do that, Steve?
In 2019, shortly after I took over, we shut down all of our plants and had what we called a safety day. And we had educational sessions, hazard identification sessions. We had, a variety of trainings. We tried to make it fun. We had prizes for employees. So that kickstarted it. And we had this campaign of see something, say something, and put in place a variety of safety suggestions, opportunities for our employees, and really trying to empower them to speak up. Right. And to understand that, if they don't feel safe, you can stop the line, you can stop the work. But so I think that's really how it started.
Now, there'd be some people, though, Steve, that'd say, oh, yeah, we'll shut it down for an hour and get everybody together and talk it over. But there are some people listening there saying, a whole day? Do you know how much money that is and all? What would you say?
That's right. We shut it down for a whole day. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's that overriding mentality of taking care of each other in our plants. And we felt this was the best way that we could show our employees how important safety is to us. Production's not more important than safety.
That's literally putting your money where your mouth is. Literally.
Yes, literally. And a thought there, it's like you either pay it now or you pay it later. Mm-hmm. And it certainly was an investment of loss of revenue, but what you're doing can help you. You pay it now, you don't have to pay it later. You skip over it, you'll pay it eventually. And you're really putting in a Dale Carnegie principle into action there that says become genuinely interested in other people. And your folks there just didn't say, oh yeah, you're valuable. They proved it.
It's an ever-evolving thing with the safety culture. It's interesting, right? I was reading a blog the other day, and I can't remember where it was, but there is one of the things that is you'll hear through every company is our employees have the empowerment to shut down a process if they feel unsafe. Everyone says it, right? Mm-hmm. But what if we changed that narrative from you can shut it down so you don't have to start until you feel safe, right? That you're going to evaluate. So this blog was about supervisors' responsibility of making sure their area was safe before they start. And I'm thinking, well, what if we told that to every employee, right? And so it's interesting. It's something that I'm ruminating with right now and how I can get that into the workforce.
There's a statement I've also heard where people say, well, now we have an open door policy. You can come open door, come talk to us all the time. But perhaps it's not just having an open door, but it's having an open mind and open heart to what people say. And that really alludes to what you're talking about there, is to let the people feel like they can speak up.
Correct. So important. I think we have thousands of workers out there on our lines. Do I know better on how that piece of equipment works than they do? No, they're the experts, right? They're the subject matter experts of their area, and we need to involve them. So I think that's been one of those big things for us to change that culture is involving them.
There's another principle when you say that of Dale Carnegie that says, let the other person do a great deal of the talking. And that's just what you were explaining. Let's hear it from the people. Let's hear it from the people that are running the machines who are making it happen. Let's give them a voice. We'll learn a lot, and they'll guide us a great deal. If there's a particular incident that happens, somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
taking the time to say, okay, yes, what happened right here and now, but was there anything leading up to that that could have been addressed, even mindset, actions, the like? How do you face that?
So, that's the tough one. That's the one that I think for all safety professionals that keep us up at nights, or we have an injury and it's like, oh my gosh, we could have so easily prevented that had we just seen this or seen that. So, we try to get as proactive as we can. We have, from a proactive program, if you will, we're using what we do are safe work observations, unsafe observations, and preventative measures. Another way to look at that, the safe work is that recognition. Let's start recognizing people when they work safely. They might be more inclined to try to catch it beforehand. Unsafe is let's not punish people from not working properly, but let's coach them so they can work properly. And then preventative measures are basically your hazard identification and correction. So we have really leaned into this new program over the past couple of years and really tried to make it more robust to try to prevent those injuries from happening. However, accidents do happen, and we have a very robust accident investigation program. And we always involve not only the injured worker, but other people that are in that area and try to get their input. And, and then obviously if we have repeats, we start from square one again, because that means our CAPA was not good.
Right.
So that's really, it's tough. It really is, because you try to prevent everything. And then, safety is, you've got your regulatory compliance, but then you've got processes and you've got behaviors.
Right.
Right. And it's a tough arena.
What we're talking about and what we are hearing from Steve and listeners are hearing is a real culture, a foundation of genuine concern, humanity. Yeah, I love the word humanity. I use it all the time, especially when it is appropriate. But here is an organization that is truly rooted in the humanity of the people that are employed with them, but not just employed, but the families, the extension of who they are that extend over into their families as well. And Amy's Kitchen, Steve, understands that it is a holistic approach, not just looking at an individual, but looking at the entirety of that individual. And the behaviors are one, is an element that we all will struggle to solve for in safety. The conditions, the unsafe conditions, we can address that. The unsafe acts and behaviors are the ones that we'll really try to work through as safety professionals. But the culture, having a really predominant culture of caring helps in that. And so you guys have obviously been successful in establishing this culture and sustaining a culture of care. So when you're talking about a scenario now where culture is predominant, things are going well, and you haven't really cut your teeth as a safety professional until you had an OSHA visit. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You haven't cut your teeth as a safety professional.
Everybody's all of a sudden tuned in right now. Here we are.
Until you have an OSHA visit. That makes you a real safety professional when you are able to navigate an OSHA visit. So that is something that Amy's has contended with, this OSHA visit. Tell the listeners about some context as far as your OSHA visit, how you've been able to navigate the OSHA visit, and what some of your real takeaways from that OSHA visit that maybe you can embed into your culture and grow the culture, and see the positive of the OSHA visit, turn it into something that is positive and impactful and ensures growth in the organization.
Sure. So I think most safety professionals might have had OSHA come to their site due to an injury, right? And they're going to investigate that one little part of your plant. But not a lot of people get the opportunity to have OSHA come in and do a wall-to-wall 6-day inspection.
6 days. You are official, Steve. You are official.
But and it's when that happens, because this isn't in response to an injury. This isn't, you as a company, you have a choice. You can say, no, we're not going to let you in, and you can make OSHA jump through the hoops, or you can be a partner with OSHA. And I think we need to remember that OSHA, I mean, a lot of people think they truly are there to protect the workers, right? I would say that they are a minimum requirement if you want a safe workplace. So if you have confidence in the safety protocols that you have in place at your plant, then you shouldn't be scared of OSHA coming to your plant, right? And so we had this decision to make, and it was not a tough decision. It was, nope, come on in. When can you come? I remember I was not at that plant when they came, and they showed up. We brought them into the conference room. They asked if they could, just go look at one area that day. Sure. When are you guys going to come back? And this was like midweek. And I said, hey, I'd like to come out there. Can you guys give us until, I think maybe this was like a Thursday. Can you give me until Monday or something like that? Right. And they said, sure, because now we've already started to form that relationship with them on the front end. So then, we're out there the entire next week, and we really took the approach of how can we help you, right? And we spent a lot of time with them, and it was interesting. At the end of the visit, they actually thanked us, and they said, "You guys run a real clean operation here." Nice. I remember talking to my safety manager at the time and letting him know. He was, of course, really concerned and stuff. I said, "Why are you concerned?" It's going to be what it is at this point in time. Absolutely. We do our work all day, every day. When OSHA shows up, it's going to be what it's going to be. And not only that, we might be able to make our place safer as a result of this.
That really sounds like that your mindset of, we're here to partner, we'll partner with you, and please, we want your input. We value your input. What kind of difference do you think that makes in the heart and the mind of the OSHA inspector?
I'll give an example,
please,
of what has happened since. We have looked at a variety of different pieces of equipment, and the latest thing now are these collaborative robots. And with collaborative robots, the manufacturer is going to try to say, hey, because they force limiting and they stop, you don't need to guard it. So of course I read the regulations, and it's like, no, we need to have guarding here. But I called up the district manager of this was the high hazard unit that came to our place. I've called her up multiple times. We've had discussions regarding a variety of different safety issues, and I've gotten advice from her on how OSHA looks at it. And, we're able to then use that so we can make sure that anything that we implement, I've gotten the opinion from OSHA. That's not going to help me if OSHA comes and we didn't do it right. But, it does help when you have that opinion and that relationship where I can give them a call and I can see what they think.
Wow. So compared to looking at them as the evil empire or the enemy, you've looked at them as these are folks that are really interested in our well-being. And think of that, Tiffany, of the message that sends to the management team, the OSHA people coming in, even the employees, when they say, we're open, help us. Huge. And that's something all our listeners really need to keep in mind.
And that's what you always want to do each day as a safety professional, as a risk professional, is be impactful. And sometimes there's opportunities for those partners to help you be impactful. And so that's a partnership that people don't really see as a partner. And I think it's a mind shift in saying, a regulatory agency can be your partner in driving change and success within your organization.
But I think that, Steve, when people see that the management team is like terrified, frightful, like, oh my gosh, no, then it's almost like the OSHA people sense it and say, maybe we need to delve a little bit deeper here.
Well, it's interesting. I wonder, we had two individuals there for that week. Had we taken the other route and said, no, you're going to have to go get a warrant to come in here, how many people would have shown up?
Right? The whole district office. Right.
It makes all the difference. And in one of my experiences, because we had developed the same type of relationship, we had occasionally an employee who would call and make a false claim against us. And when they came out, we knew them on first name basis, the people at OSHA. And we said, hey, we're sorry, Merle. We just got to do this. But, sure, come on, let's walk around. See, but because we had developed a respectful rapport, it wasn't a big deal.
Exactly right.
Steve, it sounds like you have a culture there that you have from the top. What kind of advice would you give to a safety professional who says, man, I envy this guy, Steve. I'd like a job there, but I don't have that right now. What would you encourage that kind of person to do?
The first thing you have to do is define what you're trying to accomplish, right? Know what you're trying to accomplish. Don't just rush and say, oh my gosh, we've had 15 slips and trips. We need to coach all of our employees about rushing. Don't rush to judgment. Try to find out what you need to work on. And then you need to start with clearly defining how you're going to accomplish what you're going to accomplish, right? Find a measurement that you can use to see if you're being successful or not. And ultimately, you need to be confident in that plan that it's going to work. It's not going to always happen overnight. It might take a year, 3 years. I told senior leadership when I came up with my plan, I said, this is 5 years. But I told them why. I told them there would be steps along the way, right? I had a very clearly defined plan of what we're going to do. We have modified it. You need to be agile enough to modify it as you go along, as you see other things that maybe will have a bigger impact. But just be confident that you know what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish, and you've got the right plan in place.
There would be some people that would say, well, Steve, that's great. You've got a culture that loves people, values people, cares about people. I can't get my senior leadership to listen to me. What is something that you've delved into some, but go a bit deeper. What do you need to do as a safety professional to get the ear of your upper management?
You need to educate them, right? Think about how much we have to juggle, and we have the safety component. That upper leadership, they've got the entire business. They don't know safety like you do. So you need to educate them. Again, it goes back to knowing what you're doing, being confident in what you're doing, having a plan, showing them why this is the right plan, and executing on that.
And I think sometimes we as safety professionals, because this is our world, we're like, well, sure, everybody knows this stuff.
Right.
But they don't.
That's exactly.
And it's not because they're ignorant. And it's not because they're trying to be resistant. You said it well, Steve. They're going to pull a multitude of directions. And we just have to take time to help them.
But I think one other thing there, too, is there's a reason they have you in that role, because they trust your expertise to guide them.
And using that actual guidance, because I think when you can parlay safety into the organization, and it sounds like, Steve, you've been successful in parlaying safety into the overall culture of the organization and being able to do that. Your organization understands culture, right? They understand caring about people. And there's no better element than safety validating the care of your people that are coming in day in and day out, and their families that are an extension of them. So I would think that once you get the ear of that executive team or that senior leadership team and communicate to them the importance of safety, they understand care culture, so they inevitably will be able to be receptive to safety culture.
I don't want to portray that the senior leadership didn't safety wasn't important, because safety has always been important to them. And when I talk about, educating, for me, safety was important, but more educating on, what we need to do to be safer, what we need to do to really lean into that value of caring for each other and how this ties with it. So I've always had a very supportive leadership team around safety. And so, yeah, that has absolutely helped.
What we've just heard you say is how the safety professional is an influencer. The safety professional is a leader, and leaders lead by influencing, not just with force. What's your thought on that, Steve, of the power of influence that a safety professional has?
Oh, absolutely. So for us, we have a plant, let's say, that has 500 employees in there, and we have a safety manager and a safety specialist there. So you have 2 people. And you have to be able to influence 500 people. So how do you do that? How do you get that buy-in and leverage? Okay, I've got a management staff of 50. How do I leverage them that they can then leverage the next level down and really, and that's where we are today, is getting this down to that line worker level, right? That's where you want to be. Ultimately, that's where you want to be, where I am sitting there making a burrito, and Merle, you're next to me, and I see that you're doing something that is ergonomically incorrect. And instead of being fearful, if I try to show you a different way to do it, fearful of the response, and because it is a bit of a confrontational type of situation, it comes from a place of caring, and the other person knows that. And once you get there as an organization, that's, to me, that golden spot.
Now, Tiffany, I know something that's very important to you is guiding up and coming leaders. Maybe you could tell a little bit about your thought on that, and then delve into what Steve thinks on that.
Yeah, I think as safety professionals, we have a duty and an obligation, especially as seasoned professionals, to create a pipeline, and not just a pipeline filling it with younger, less seasoned professionals, but actually preparing them for the work of the next generation. Because I think we can all agree that there are some really, really strong qualities in millennials and Gen Z. But at the same time, there is some very distinct differences in the cultures between Gen X and Boomers and Gen Z and Millennials. And that also exists in the workforce and how they work, and bridging those cultures by creating a pipeline. But it also is feedback, having conversation with them, asking them what works for their cultures. Steve, I would love to know more about how you prepare your organization, how you mentor and prepare the pipeline of the next generation.
I hate using those stereotypes, but I would say if we went back in time, Tiffany, and you went back to when you were in your 20s, and I went back to when I was in my 20s, I bet I'm not much different than those that are in their 20s today. Let's take the Gen Z, Gen X, let's take that differentiation out. But in your 20s, you haven't had to juggle the amount of balls that you have to juggle as a young safety professional, or even in other areas, right? So we have to be able to develop that skill set. Think about it. We've been going to school our entire life. I have to know how to, like in law school, I need to know how to evaluate this case. I need to know what the rules of law are. Whatever it may be, it's a very task-driven mentality, right? Then all of a sudden, you're a safety professional, and you got to get away from that task-driven mentality. And you got to know how to prioritize, and you got to know, okay, how do I influence, like we talked about. So I think it's really trying to coach around that and the understanding of the importance. Now, I will say from a socioeconomic standpoint, yes, you're absolutely correct. I think it's completely different today. And, I'm really proud that we are a B Corp certified company, right? And that leans right into what we're talking about. And,
yes.
And it's also what allows us to get, that's a selling point to the younger generation today.
Is.
So, really though, developing those skills with them and knowing that you're there to partner with them and help them along. And it's really about, to me, I don't want to get into the stereotypes. I mean, they're all out there, but it's really just teaching them, right? Being a mentor, being that person that can mentor them along. And let's not get frustrated with anybody's differences, right? They might have a different way of looking at things with us, but let's not get frustrated with them, and let's teach them how they can be the best them.
When you're thinking about your pipeline, do you do the coaching and mentoring? I mean, within your organization, are people coming off of the floor or from internally within the organization? Or are you guys actually getting, people who are from outside the organization, having gone to get formal education in the field? What is or is it a combination, a hybrid of both? What's kind of Amy's Kitchen's approach about filling that pipeline and getting these folks trained in safety and risk?
So it's a combination of both. I can tell you, I have one of my safety managers has yesterday was his 15th anniversary with Amy's. He started out as a security guard.
That's
awesome.
He
has worked his way up. Another one came over from the manufacturing side. He was a supervisor on the manufacturing side. So, you got to teach whether you come external or internal, you're going to have to teach either the expertise, the knowledge of OSHA and compliance and regulatory, or you're going to have to teach them how Amy's food production manufacturing facility works. For me personally, I like the internal candidates because I can see what their mindset around safety has been. Right, I can see it in action. I can see what they did. I remember one of the safety managers being in a investigation, a risk assessment, let's call it, on a single product, and he put this team together, and we did a risk assessment, and we were able to, due to that risk assessment, we were able to change the temperature we transferred our hot product at, taking it from a high temperature that burns quickly, so therefore you need more PPE, more administrative controls, etc., down to a temperature that won't burn people.
That validates the culture.
Out?
No. That validates the culture, right? So you're taking people who are already bought into the culture, who are already understanding of your established Amy's Kitchen culture, which is the foundation of everything that you do, and then you're transferring them in to doing the strategic, tactical elements of safety.
So it's it's homegrown in a good way.
Absolutely.
Because your people are saying, well, wait a minute, what if we could do something like this? And your people who know it so well.
That's awesome. That's and I think that approach is such a sustainable approach, and as opposed to bringing people from the outside, and there are people who understand the organization who would have loved the opportunity to work in safety, to work in risk, but it's always, someone from the outside who checks all these boxes on, this level of experience, this level of education, and don't receive the opportunities internally. It's always an external hire, and that doesn't parlay into the culture. And then the culture is not well established.
And yet, Steve, you've got people who have seen live that culture, and sure, you're enhancing it, but they get to help out in that way. So for the younger safety professional who's maybe thinking about going into their career or they're just getting rolling, what would be a piece of advice that you wish someone had given to you when you were just kind of getting rolling in the whole area of safety and working with folks in this way?
Build relationships.
And I believe you, because again, as you know, in the Dale Carnegie world, it's all about you cannot ask for a hand until you earn the heart and the trust of people. Why do you believe those relationships with people, why does it bring such benefit to a safety professional?
Well, one is that they know your interest in them, your care in them is genuine, and therefore they're more apt to allow for your influence to impact their actions. They are more apt to spread that culture that you're trying to spread. They all of a sudden they become a voice for you, even though they may not be in your safety organization. And, back to what I was stating before, if you have 2 safety professionals and 500 employees, those 2 safety professionals aren't going to make the place safe. It's going to be the 500 employees. And that's where you got to build those relationships.
Steve's good interaction here, insights from the story of your life and your experiences. And when you think about this, Tiffany, I mean, this is practical. This is real.
Yeah. These are takeaways that are easily implementable.
You got it. So, Steve, thank you so much for your time and commitment and help.
Well, thank you. And Tiffany, thanks for inviting me. I've really enjoyed this.
Absolutely. Always good to see you. I'll see you on the other side sometime soon.
Tiffany, standout culture. That was a theme that kept coming through what he talked about. And the power of, it's not just what we say we are, but culture is, this is the way we do things around here.
Absolutely. And I thought it was the thing that stood out the most for me as well. Safety is not even separate from the culture. Their culture is comprehensive, which includes their care for people and inherently includes safety. And that exists from the executive leadership team all the way down to the shop floor, all the way to security. To have a security officer transition into a safety position tells you what they think about the safety culture. And like you said, Merle, it exists. It's a verb. It is a verb within their organization.
It becomes a way of life for those people there, which is a worthwhile goal for every safety professional to say,
right.
I'm here not to just make sure rules are obeyed.
Right.
But we're here to help guide the culture.
Right. We would all strive as safety professionals to work in organizations where culture is predominant and it has safety embedded into it.
Thanks for listening to My Big Safety Challenge, a podcast produced in partnership by Dale Carnegie and BCSP, with your hosts Dale Carnegie Master Trainer Merle Heckman and Tiffany Felix, Senior Vice President of Global Environmental Health and Safety for Paramount Global. Executive produced by Charlie Eltringham. Supervising producer Michael Escobedo. Audio engineering and editing from Michael Escobedo and Chiachi Liu. Editorial support from Tyson Matthews. Consulting producers are Colin Brown and Mark Sullivan. To have new episodes delivered directly to you, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. If you would like to share your story of a safety leadership challenge you faced, email us at info@mybigsafetychallenge.com. See you next time.
Hey listeners, this is Merle Heckman, host of My Big Safety Challenge podcast. I imagine that if you're listening to this podcast, then you have some sort of safety responsibility in your job. Maybe you're a seasoned safety pro leading EH&S programs. Or maybe you're in HR and safety is one of the many responsibilities you have. No matter what your situation is, you are looking for ways to be a better leader. Well, I'd like to tell you an opportunity that's available from Dale Carnegie and BCSP. We've put together a leadership course just for safety professionals. We've taken the Dale Carnegie course and all its principles and weaved in the whole safety world to help you as a safety professional to have more influence. In the course, you will learn how to properly connect with other people and then build upon that with the ability to have collaboration, creating an atmosphere where people feel like it's safe emotionally to work together, and then allow you to learn how to lead and guide people who make mistakes, who want to do well, gives you the chance to know how to guide them with so much more. If you're interested, please click the link in the episode description or visit mybigsafetychallenge.com and look for the BCSP and the Dale Carnegie course link at the bottom of the page. We'd love to see you be a part to benefit your organization.